Today I want to talk to you about all the books that I've been reading. So if you want to hear a story about me in reading, you've come to the right place. I never really used to read all that much, especially all the way through college, and now that I have started reading, I wish I read a lot more. And so I'm just going to share a few of the things right now that I am reading and my opinions and thoughts about them. Okay, so number one, the first thing you're gonna say, really? But magazine on coffee. I just saw this at Cub Foods and grabbed it. The pictures in here are super beautiful. It's just a Time magazine about coffee. It's like going through all of the history of coffee and how it started, origins of it, like all the big players in the coffee game right now. And I really love coffee, so this is a good, I just have it sitting on the kitchen table whenever I want to pick it up and just read a little bit and learn something new. It's not necessarily like heavy reading, it's kind of around, and I can pick it up and just learn some stuff about coffee, which I love a lot. So for our next book, we have to take a little adventure to my work. Quick side note that I wanted to share. This isn't exactly a book, but it's an audio book. It's Crushing It by Gary Vee. Super good, super great. The book is called Crushing It, and literally that's what you learn. Is you learn how to crush it, how to be super productive, and how to use these tools to elevate what you're already doing. So now that we're here at work, we'll hop inside and I'll show you a few of the things that I have sitting on my desk that I've been reading. Alright, let's go. What's up? So now that we're in my office at work, there's a couple of books that I keep around that I read from time to time when I get some spare moments. The first one I have, actually, I finished. This was the first book that I bought out of college and kind of started me with reading just nonfiction books, and it's called Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. And it's just teaching about, like, as you progress in your career and become successful and stuff, like how to not get ahead of yourself and how to, like, just never feel like you've actually mastered something and, like, to continue striving for better. So one of the big takeaways from this book was in one of the chapters he talks about Kirk Hammett from Metallica, the guitar player, joining Metallica and already being a pretty established musician at the time, but seeked out additional training and guitar lessons and stuff when he joined the band, like already being a successful guitar player to get into the band, but then not becoming content with just being in the band, but wanting to expand his knowledge and become the best guitar player that he could possibly be. The next two books are by the same person, Steal Like an Artist and Show Your Work. They're both by Austin Kleon. These books basically are like any creative professional that is trying to start their career and figure out how to just be active in creating content, and how to How to Steal Like an Artist is like kind of talks about learning from other artists and like how to look at the people that you admire the most and to be a creative individual and practice your creative muscles. So really great for any artist. Show Your Work is all about, like, once you've kind of got that creative process down, and to constantly be sharing your work and sharing your story, and that it's not necessarily about how good you are right now, but sharing your progress to getting to where you'd like to be. Also talks about like just sharing what you know and what you're learning as you're learning it to inspire other people and help other people on their journey as you're on your journey. Fantastic 2 books. Both should be on the top of any creative or entrepreneur type person's list of books. Another thing that I'm reading is Discipline Equals Freedom by Jocko Willink. This book is just a bunch of like 1 to 2 page motivating stories that are just trying to get you to get after it and teaching you that to kind of keep your life in order and helping teach you discipline, because like motivation won't always, like you're not always motivated to do things. Some days you wake up really motivated and other days you don't wake up with any motivation at all, and it's those days that you don't wake up with any motivation at all that discipline is what takes you through. And so this book is all about staying disciplined, sticking to a schedule, just understanding what needs to be done regardless if you feel like doing it or not, because that's when real progress is made. So that does it for like the actual books that I have at work. 100 Things That You Never Knew About Your Brain. So I'll just kind of peek through that as I want to. DC Justice League, this has got cool pictures of some of the heroes and stuff in it. Time Special Edition, Discovering Nature's Most Exotic Wonders, Volcanoes, and creative lettering and beyond. So a lot of the stuff I have here is just more like inspiring. The other 2 books, the Show Your Work and Steal Like an Artist, are pretty short. They're small books. The Discipline Equals Freedom is small passages, so just things to kind of like break up my workday and take a second to walk away from my screen, get up, do something, read a little bit, learn something, and then get back to work. So the rest of this stuff is going to be back at home and talk about some more books there. Peace. What were we talking about again? Oh yeah, books. Much better. Cheers. Coffee. What time is it? 7:48, and I'm drinking a cup of coffee. I love coffee. Doesn't matter what time of day it is. I just love coffee. Yeah. Alright, so back onto the subject of books. So far, started off in the morning with Coffee Magazine, throughout the day, kind of creative, inspiring, and books that are encouraging me to just work hard and be as motivated as possible. Then I kind of have some books set aside for at home, kind of at night, still mostly learning books, but these are just things I have laying around, like up in our bedroom, or I'll just, whenever I get a chance, grab one and read a little bit. And I was just telling my wife Gal that I need to finish some of these books because I'm reading way too many at one time. But certain things have happened, and yeah, I'll explain a little bit. So the next one that I've got is the Book of Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi, and
He is a very famous Japanese samurai, and he basically goes through all of his rules and the ways of the school that he developed. As I was saying, where he like breaks everything down to the point of like when you're reading the book, you're like, oh my god, I can't believe somebody broke it down in this many parts, and really like shows you how dedicated he was to his craft. For me, it's just more about like that dedicated mindset of like really knowing your craft in and out and being able to, off the top of your head, just talk about it and speak on it and teaching it to whoever, that he knew that all good knowledge should be shared and it shouldn't be kept secret. The next book, which is Tools of Titans, and if you know who Tim Ferriss is, he's a famous podcaster. I listen to his podcast a lot, and got into his books because of his podcast. Actually, a lot of the books I've read have probably been recommended at one point through his podcast. And the Tools of Titans book is basically all of his podcast guests kind of broken down and put in text form. It's just kind of like learning from the best of the best and kind of finding out their inner workings and how they go about being as successful as they possibly can. And I'm just remembering right now that I have one more book that I left out in the car, and I'll be right back. Alright, back. Reminded me because it's another Tim Ferriss book. It's called The 4-Hour Workweek. This one I started and I was really into it and I really liked it, and then I left it in an Uber and I never got it back, and then I went and bought it, and then in the meantime I had started this one. So I was trying to finish this one before I finished this one, so I'm like halfway through both of these basically. Trying to finish this one before I go back to this one. But this one is kind of all about business mindset and setting goals and how to be the most effective. It's called the 4-Hour Workweek, so it's like trying to break down how to oh, more coffee. Sorry, my voice is terrible. Oh, that feels so good. Feels so good on my throat. It's talking about like how to be as effective as possible in a short amount of time and not overworking yourself. Kind of how to outsource things and be a little bit more business savvy and business minded. It's a little out there at times. I'm not like taking everything from this book and applying it to what I do, but it's very interesting to see how he thinks about handling a business and going about doing certain things that he's kind of willing to let go and let other people do things a little bit more than I think most people are. I think most, or some, maybe not most. I don't know a lot of business owners, but some can be very like in charge of everything, and he's very hands-off and kind of making the important decisions, but letting other things that he's put in place help him dictate how a company runs. The last one is one that me and my wife read together, and it's called The Way of the Warrior Kid. This is also by Jocko Willink, which he wrote the Discipline Equals Freedom book that I showed you when I was at work. And this is actually a kid's book. We bought it for our daughter. She's not quite old enough to be reading a book like this yet. I'm mostly reading like Dr. Seuss books to her. She's loving Dr. Seuss, which is awesome. I love reading those too. This is all about a little kid who's in like 7th or 8th grade, I think, and he's basically like the kid getting bullied. He can only do one pull-up. His uncle Jake comes from out of the military and moves in with him and his mom, and kind of teaches him discipline. So like the book that I read earlier was Discipline Equals Freedom. This is kind of put into simpler terms for little kids to like build on discipline and kind of doing the things in life that you don't really like to do, but you have to do them. Like, oh my gosh, I'm slowly losing my voice throughout all this. It's only my second video and I'm already losing my voice. No, it's all about doing the things in life that you don't want to do There's a part in there where he's learning his timetables. There's a part where he teaches him how to swim across the river, and he's afraid to swim across the river, but he kind of leaves him hanging to figure it out on his own. It goes from him not being able to do 1 pull-up to, at the end of the summer, being able to do 10 pull-ups. So it's just kind of like encouraging to kids and kind of ingraining that idea that if you wake up every day and you do the things that you don't necessarily want to do and that you don't feel like you have to do, but if you do them, that's when progress is made. And that's big, that's huge. It's not doing things when you want to do them. It's the days that when you don't feel like doing them, but you show up and you do it anyways. That's when real progress is made and you feel like you've really accomplished something, like you've overcome something. And those are big moments. I never thought of myself as being the type of person that would sit down and read a book. All through high school, all through college, the only books that I ever read were like books that I was assigned to, and even then it was like the bare minimum, like whatever I could do to get like the smallest amount out of it and get the assignment done. Like if it was a tutorial book, it was just the tutorials. If it was some sort of reading assignment, I read what I needed to get the answers. Geography book, I wasn't going to read the whole chapter. I was going to find the answers and write them down. So once I kind of found that Ego is the Enemy book and was able to like sit down and get through an entire book, that was kind of a big accomplishment for me. It was sitting down and even feeling like if I wasn't benefiting from it and I wasn't retaining the information, but I was interested in putting in the time and doing it, and that's kind of sparked into me like getting all of these books now. That's another thing, is that I've started collecting books, and as I find out about good ones, I buy them whether I'm ready to read it or not, because I want to build up a library of stuff to have around, so once I finish one of these, I just have to pick another one up. I don't have to like go searching for it. And so I just want to encourage anyone that's like a creative person trying to figure out how to navigate and be the best that they can be and share as much as they can and learn as much as they can. This is really about me learning and continuing learning after school, and how do I become better at all of the things that I want to be better at? How do I be a better designer? How do I be a better person? How do I be better at being successful? How do I be better at teaching my kids the things that they're going to need in the future? How do I be a healthier person? That's a big one for me, that like a lot of the Tim Ferriss stuff that helped me hugely. Listening to podcasts, Audible, the Gary V, like those have been super inspiring to me and just been pushing me to be more open about who I am and what I want to say and what I want to do, and just doubling down and committing to some of these things and like really wanting to up my game as far as being good at what I do. Like I don't necessarily care about being successful. Like success to me isn't famous and it isn't followers. It's not how many subscribers can I get. It's literally like, how can I be a better person, and how can I teach the things that I'm learning, and how can I benefit other people around me and just help encourage other people to want to be as good as they can be. You know, I just want to encourage everyone to be their best. So that's really all I've got for this video. And last but not least, if you like these videos, if you like this content, if you want to have discussions with me, like and subscribe down below. Click the little bell to get notifications when I do new videos. Thank you for your support. Goodbye.